Hi, welcome to another episode of Game Warden Stories. My name is Darrin Hill. I am a communications specialist here at the Oklahoma Department of Wildlife Conservation. And with me today, I've got my good friend, Dru Polk, who is an awesome Southeast Oklahoma game warden. How long have you been a game warden now?
Oh gosh, Darrin, this will be my 25th year as a warden. I was hired in 2001.
25 years.
Yeah, 25 years.
So have you raised your kids' family as a game warden? That's all they know too?
That's all they know. I mean, I've got a 21-year-old daughter and a 19-year-old daughter, so they know nothing but being a game warden's kid, for sure.
And it's safe to say that being a game warden is sort of a life, it's not just a career, it's sort of like a lifestyle.
Oh, it is a lifestyle, 100%. I mean, regardless of where you go or who you see, you're the game warden. Mm. You know, you're the local game warden, so. It has its benefits, but it also has its drawbacks. I normally, and I shouldn't say this out loud for people that are watching me from Smithville, but I try to sit on the visitor's side of a basketball gym just so I can watch the game, because otherwise I'm getting questions about, regulations or, hey, look at this deer I killed. So when my daughter was playing especially, I tried just to ease back into the guests over there and watch the game, but I say that it's not a bad thing. It was a great benefit. I love being a game warden. If I won the lottery tomorrow, I'd have a few more toys and my passport should be up to date, but I'd still be a game warden.
I say that same thing too. Yeah. So I'd still work here, but I don't know, just maybe have a little more fun. But
well, I mean, you find a job you love, you'll never have to work a day in your life. And I didn't start out as a game warden with the department. I started out in wildlife, then went to fisheries, and then became a game warden. So I've been through the whole gamut of divisions outside of C&E.
There's a few other guys just like you that have bounced around.
Yep.
And I'm usually pretty good friends with them too. So it's pretty cool. And I keep on thinking what I do notice is that those like you tend to come help us out a lot in the communication side. And I say help us because I think you just recognize the benefit we have for your job.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, and to get the word out for our agency as a whole. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, game wardens are a big part of who people see, on a day-to-day basis. But I mean, there's way more divisions out there that does some great things. So, and I just happen to be privileged to be a part of fisheries and wildlife.
So, everybody that's watching right now, make sure you hold on to the very end, watch to the very end. We got some good stories between then, but Dru's got something that you might be wanting to learn about, you should learn about, because it's an awesome opportunity for a lot of people to take advantage of that the department offers, and it's totally free. But before we get there, let's get a little bit of, as the youth say, lore of Dru. So where were you at when you first realized you wanted to be a game warden?
Well, that saying that I just said just a little bit ago about you find a job you love, you'll never have to work a day in your life. My grandfather actually told me that. And I was lost. I mean, going out of high school into the real world, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I actually moved to Colorado, enrolled at Colorado State, was going to do something in wildlife in Colorado. And then a redneck hillbilly from Southeast Oklahoma didn't fit into the culture of Northern Colorado State. So I decided to come back to Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. And I graduated high school in 1990. Well, in 1992, I had a little bit of an in with the agency because my brother was hired on as a game warden in 92. And so I spent a lot of time in Southwest Oklahoma, Greer County, riding with him. And I can remember the aha moment for me as what I wanted to do with my life. And I'd flunked out of college a time or two. I hated school. Mm-hmm. And I was lost. And so Dane, my brother, took me in his state truck. We were doing a student ride along.
Yeah.
And he took me to the Salt Fork of the Red River there at Reed's Crossing in Greer County. A few people know where that's at.
I've been there, yeah.
Beautiful place. And it's just a huge canyon. And it was right at daylight, breaking daylight. And he said, get out of the truck. And so we got out of the truck, and he walked over to his inside of his truck, and he hit his siren, which produced a shot gobble, and there was turkeys as far as I could hear, both directions, east and west, down through there. And he looked at me, and it's something that I'll always remember. And he said, "Hey, bub, this is my office." And I looked at him, and I looked around, and I could still hear those turkeys gobbling. And I thought, I'm going back to college. And I never looked back. After that, I was done. I mean, I went back to college. He did give me a patch, a game warden patch, just to remind me of what I was doing, what I needed to do. And I put it on the dash of my truck. And every time that I would, and I was a skipper, I like to get out. I mean, if the turkeys were gobbling, I was trying to hunt them. If the fish were biting, I was fishing.
Of course, yeah.
And there's a little bit of story I'll tell you about that on my first interview. But anyway, so he gave me a patch. And every time I'd get in my truck and I'd start it and fixing to drive off because I didn't want to go to class, I'd look at that patch, and I'd see that game warden patch staring me in the face, and I'd kill the truck and I'd walk right back in because I knew what I wanted to do. I didn't want to give the time to do it. And, you know, you hear so many people throughout the course of my career, 25 years, man, I always wanted to be a game warden. Well, why didn't you? Well, life hit, and life was hitting me too. I just buckled down and would look at that patch and then spend as much time as I could with my brother, riding with him, just to rekindle that fire that I initially had, and would ride with him and David Smith and Max Crocker, all those guys out there. And so I had a little bit of an in. And then every time I would get a chance, I was going to school at Southeastern Oklahoma State University, great wildlife school, by the way. And I would be riding with all the local game wardens around there. Anytime I could get in the truck with a warden, I'd be in it. I mean, by the time I interviewed for that position, I knew everybody on a first name basis, just because of the amount of time I'd spent, you know, riding with whoever I could ride with. So
for sure.
But
so if we listen to what you said at the beginning, you said that you weren't a game warden right out of so did you get hired in wildlife?
Oh, no. I started out with Dennis Gary over at Tishomingo at the National Wildlife or the refuge over there.
Yeah.
And they would have a lottery that every morning you'd had a little bingo lottery system, and I was the lottery guy. So I would do the lottery at 5 o'clock in the morning, designate people where they're blind, what blind they went to, where they were hunting at for the day. And so I spent a full waterfowl season there.
Oh, wow.
And so I ended up doing a little plowing and planting there too. And, you know, Dennis took a chance on me, and I did him a really good job. Super great guy. And then it was an internship, so I ran out of hours.
Yeah.
And I was still in college, and man, I was just trying to find something along the lines of anything ODWC related. I just wanted to get in because I knew there was a big hiring freeze went on back in the late 80s, early 90s, and they just weren't hiring game wardens. So I knew if I wanted to become a game warden, that I would have to get in and do other things and work my way up the ladder. And so I went from wildlife division, Jack Harper, which was the South Central Fisheries or Southeast supervisor. He gave me a spot one summer doing krill surveys on Lake Texoma. And so I did an internship with him and went straight over to Paul Mock and got another summer internship with him. And then after I ran out of hours there, Gordon, the hatchery manager at Durant, I was spending a lot of time with the hatchery guys. And he's like, hey, why don't you come over when you run out of hours and I'll give you a job. So I spent another internship at the Durant Fish Hatchery. And then there was a full-time position come open in fisheries division. So I went interviewed, and was hired on full-time as a hatchery tech for Durant. And I spent about a year and a half at the hatchery, raising fish and learning the whole process of
striped bass.
Oh yeah, and I'll tell you what, out of all the divisions, and I'll get in trouble for saying this, but out of all divisions in the ODWC, those fishery guys, the hatchery people work the hardest.
Oh yeah,
I mean, I've been a part of a lot, and those hatchery guys and gals, they're hard workers, and they don't get a whole lot of breaks.
They don't.
Mowing, weed eating, I mean, raising fish, getting ponds ready, stocking. I mean, I learned a lot. Learned a lot from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm glad I did. I'm glad I went that direction.
Is it still? No, I guess it's not our oldest hatchery. Make it maybe second, but I think that
It's the largest.
Yeah, it's the largest.
Maybe one of the largest hatcheries in the nation.
Yeah.
Used to be.
Yeah. This is
Whenever
for
phase 3
freshwater.
was still in operation.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's an amazing spot. If
Yeah.
people are down that way, go by and see. So awesome. And then how did you end up, what happened whenever you got the call or an interview process, or did you have to go and take the test?
Oh, no, I went
for Game Warden.
There was 4 positions open, and there was probably, gosh, I don't know how many applicants there were, and myself and another warden who works Tillman County, and one of my best friends is Jeremy Brothers. He and I studied for this test, and I mean, when I say study, I've never studied for anything harder in my life, and I mean, we wrote a book. I mean, I had 2,000 questions typed up that we studied from. And Jeremy and I, for a solid 6 months every night, would leave the hatchery. He and I both worked at the hatchery, and we'd come home to my house, or I'd go to his house, and all we did was study. And anyway, we went and took the test and scored number 1 and number 2 on the test. And
who was number 1? Who was 2?
I was 1.
Jeremy, you guys going to redo that again?
Yeah,
Hope you're watching.
But he did get me back.
Oh, okay. All right.
So anyway, he and I were both working at the hatchery together during that time, and then we get the call that for an interview, and so we went and interviewed, and again, both of us working full time for the ODWC. We kind of had an in and knowing everybody on the interview board, so it was more like just you and I talking versus I mean, it wasn't like an interrogation.
For sure.
It was just, a few guys talking, and it was a good interview. So, but yeah, and then we got hired on in 2001. Myself, Rusty Menifee, James Edwards Jr., Jeremy, and I. There was 4 of us, and in that interview, I can remember, there was 4 counties open, and of course, one was Cimarron, and one was McCurtain. And, 600 miles different.
For sure.
And out of all the guys who interviewed, they said, who wants to go to McCurtain County? And out of like 25 people, I was the only one that raised my hand.
Wow.
Everybody's like, you're crazy. Why in the world would you want to go to McCurtain County?
Yeah.
I mean, that is like the poaching hotspot mecca of the southern United States. And I was like, well, I mean, it's the last frontier. And at that point in time, it was Three Rivers was open, Honeby Creek was open, but there was no gates. So I had well over 1 million acres of public land. I mean, it was the last frontier of hunting large acreage, a large acreage of hunting in Oklahoma. And I'm like, send me there. I mean, I'd hunted there. I killed my first deer in Pushmataha County, so I kind of knew that country. We hunted a little bit, but anyway, I wanted to be in the mountains. I mean, I always was a mountain guy. I mean, loved camping, loved hunting and fishing the creeks, and just loved the wildness of it all.
And so Honeby Three Rivers, what most people may not know, if you do know, that's great. But it's a private.
Yeah, it's owned by, like Honeby Creek is owned by a few private timber companies, and then Three Rivers is owned by a major private timber company, Weyerhaeuser Timber, which is a national, worldwide, really timber company. And so all of Three Rivers is owned by.
And it is wild.
It is a very wild place.
So how do you, well, this is a little sidetrack here, but how does one go about hunting that area?
Well, I mean, in order it's still public. There's still a huge portion of public on Three Rivers. There's 186,000 acres of public. And we have what's called a land access permit. Okay. And regardless, whatever you're doing on that area, it's kind of, I won't say a trespass permit, but it's a permit that the only way that you can be on it is you have to be permitted. But it entitles you to hunt, fish, recreate, just be there.
It's pretty inexpensive. Right?
It's $100 for residents, and it's $200 for non-residents. But if you think about it, I mean, hunting lease, $100 for a 186,000 acre hunting lease. That's pretty cheap.
That's real
Even
cheap.
for the non-residents. I mean, that's still a very cheap hunting lease. So yeah, no, it's got great hunting. I mean, the deer and turkey, the quail. I mean, the river systems, the beautiful creeks, clear creeks, that are full of bluegill and sunfish and Kentucky's and smallmouth. I mean, just doesn't get any better.
Yeah.
I'm going to plug Southeast Oklahoma pretty hard.
I think you should. I think it's underutilized, and I hate to
Very
say that,
underutilized.
but it really is. I mean, most people don't really recognize. I've had interns here, and I think I even had an intern one time come and get married and honeymoon near your spot or someplace near you. But anyway, he came down. He was from upstate New York, and I think he fell asleep on the way down, woke up, had him there in Southeast Oklahoma. We floated the river, and I think he fell in love, even though he was from upstate New York, which I would think, man, that's awesome too.
Yeah, it is. It's beautiful.
But he loves Southeast Oklahoma, so it's a gem. So.
Well, most people, when they think of Oklahoma, they think of red dirt and pasture land and oil wells. Mm-hmm. And then you get over in that very far southeast corner, and you have that Ouachita Plateau and the Ozark Plateau kind of all meeting together, and there's mountains, and there's clear streams, and it's pines, and it's just a beautiful country.
So beautiful.
It is. Gorgeous.
So go back a little bit. You said that, McCurtain was known as the poaching capital of maybe, southern
Per
United
capita.
States. Yeah.
Whenever I first moved there, it was kind of on the tail end of the really bad era. Those wardens prior to me really had to struggle and really had to work hard to get it in the position that it's at now. And I won't take hardly very little. I mean, those guys before me were the workers. But yeah, so I mean, it's kind of, I've always thought about this, like, why is Southeast Oklahoma in particular so rough, or just had that mindset, kind of that outlaw mentality? And it's not as bad as it used to be, and I wouldn't change it for anything. I mean, I love the people of Southeast Oklahoma. I just love everything about them. You know what they're thinking. You don't have to worry about what they're thinking. They're going to tell you.
Yeah.
But if you're fair and honest, then, I mean, it's the golden rule. You treat people like you want to be treated, and in turn, they'll treat you the same way. I mean, you treat people like you want to be treated. So anyway, but getting back to just the poaching mindset and the outlaw mindset of Southeast, prior to 1907, that was outlaw country. It was no man's land.
Yeah.
It was Indian territory. And then you had Arkansas, which was, air quotes, civilized. I mean, there was law there. There was order there. And so a lot of the outlaws, the ones that, couldn't live in Arkansas anymore, just came across the line into Oklahoma. And then over the course of generations, those people just kind of stuck there.
Yeah.
And so you had that mindset of whiskey, my dad was an alcoholic beverage liquor enforcement. He was an able agent, and he was stationed in Southeast, and he chased a lot of moonshine in McCurtain and Push County. And in fact, whenever I got hired on, he's like, "Where are you going, son?" I said, "McCurtain County." And he's like, "What are you doing?" Because he'd spent a lot of his time.
Yeah.
The two shootouts he got in his career were both in McCurtain County. So anyway, that there was an outlaw mindset, particularly whenever I showed up. There was still a lot of outlaws, and we met each other, and they're still there. But through fruition and through education, I think that we're getting better in that regard. I mean, there's still a lot of illegal activity, a lot of poaching, and it goes on, probably more so than anywhere else in the state. But it's getting better.
That's good.
And I've seen over the course of 25 years, I've seen a big change. Change.
So tell me that one poaching story that kind of you think defines you, especially there in Southeast.
Wow, there's so many of them.
You mentioned earlier about an ATV bus.
Yeah. So, that's probably my greatest achievement as a game warden. I've been a part of a lot of big operations and a lot of big busts.
Mm-hmm.
But that defining moment when I knew that I was going to be able to do the job, there was a pretty good ring of poachers that were very deliberate in their actions as far as spotlighting, and they were bold about it. I mean, they would come by my house, honk. I mean, we'd see each other, and from time to time, and they just laugh and joke, and they made it known what they were doing, and that was fine. I mean, I was pretty thick-skinned, and it really didn't bother me. I think that's what irritated them the most, is that it didn't bother me, but I didn't let them know that it did.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'd spent about a week during the fall really paying attention to where they normally spotlighted at, some of their routes, and they spotlighted all over. But I knew in particular that there was some family land that was close to where I'd been sitting that I figured at one point in time they're going to show up. And I just got a brand new set. This was in 2001, my very first fall as a game warden. Kenny Lawson had got us 2 sets of night vision, that first 2 in the state of Oklahoma, as far as game wardens using it. And so I had a pretty good, I had a pretty good secret weapon. So I set up on the mountain for about a week, and then finally the night before Thanksgiving, I see a sweep through my night vision. And if you've ever looked through night vision and you see a light, particularly a spotlight, it looks like Darth Vader's lightsaber. I mean, it's just, you can't miss it. And so I sit there and watched them, and I watched the direction they were going, and I'd realized that there were several different lights going in that general area. And I had one other warden working with me, Randy Fennell. So I called in the troops. I started making calls to anybody who was within 60, 70 miles of me. Because I didn't want to get in a rush, because I knew they were going to be there all night. So I called in several wardens and kind of staged them in areas that I knew that they would probably try their getaway routes, the major haul roads. And anyway, so I got all the wardens, kind of put in their position. And Randy Fennell and I went in blackout. We had infrared lights on the front of our trucks, and we were driving in complete darkness. And so we eased our way into the middle of them. And let me back up. They were using handheld radios.
Yeah.
And so I'd been scanning several frequencies on the handhelds, those little Motorola talkabouts. I found the frequency that they were using that night as well. So I was able to listen to what they were saying and then, figure out what direction they were going. So I knew that the gig was up whenever we were driving down through their blackout, and one of them got on the radio and said, "I just had a warden drive by me." And he was sitting there. Nobody ever saw him. And then it was like a covey of quail. I mean, lights came on, four-wheelers started going everywhere, and the race was on for a good solid 2 hours. We chased four-wheelers all over those mountains, and they would stop. And because they didn't know that we had their frequencies, they'd be telling each other where they were at. So, we just go and bust a covey. It's like hunting singles.
Yeah.
No more covey rides, but we're hunting singles now. We hunted singles for a good solid 2 hours and caught the main 2 guys, basically the ringleader and another one that was a very good poacher back in the day. And to be honest, both these people now are my friends.
That's funny. Yeah.
I mean, we don't send each other Christmas cards, but I respect them and they respect me, and all of them, to be honest with you. I don't have any ill feelings for any of them. But no, we took 2 of the probably 6 or 7 that night to jail, and that was the night before Thanksgiving, which means it was a holiday. That was a Thursday morning. So they had to stay, because the judge won't see them till Monday. They had to stay Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. And so they spent 4 days in jail before they could even bond out.
Wow.
So they had beanie weenies for Thanksgiving dinner. They weren't too happy about that.
No, yeah.
Anyway, that Monday afternoon, I'd taken both the four-wheelers and took them to my house. I held them as evidence, and we just threw them in the back of warden trucks and brought them to my house. Well, they went and paid their fines. They paid everything immediately. They wanted their four-wheelers back. And then they showed up at my house, and they shook my hand. And, they said, basically, good job. Like, we didn't think that you'd catch us, but you did. So from that day forward, that was kind of the defining moment in my career as far as a game warden in northern McCurtain County of southeast Oklahoma, I was able to catch probably one of the worst poaching rings in the state my first year in word spread. And after that, I got a little bit more respect from the poaching community, but also treated those guys right.
Yeah.
I mean, I treated them like humans, like they wanted to be treated. They didn't do anything to, threaten me, or they were just poaching deer. And so anyway, with that came a lot of respect from the poaching community, if that's what you want to call it, and just the normal citizens, because the first 5 years of my career in McCurtain County, people hated me.
Of course.
I mean, I was the game warden.
Yeah.
I mean, I would walk into, I remember walking into a cafe one time, and there was a group of older men, and they just looked over at me and they said, "Why don't you get the blankety blank out of here? We don't want you here." And I just sat there and I kept eating my breakfast, and I got up, finished my coffee, and I looked at them and I said, "See you in the morning." And I went home, and I came back the next morning. I went every morning until they quit saying something. And then when they quit saying something to me, I'd go somewhere else. But in turn, I actually, because I do like to talk, I actually kind of built a relationship with one or two of them.
Yeah.
And then the next thing you know, even the ones that were telling me to leave were calling me and asking me if I could help them do something. So, I mean, it's all in how you react to those type of, people. Yeah,
they don't know for sure. They're trying to probably fill it out a little bit and find out who you are.
They're going to see how far they can push you. So, and, anytime that people would come up and say, "Why don't you just leave?" I'd be like, "I already bought a cemetery plot here, boys. You got me. I'm staying right here. I love it here." That's
good. I love it. Yeah. Well, so you came up here today all the way from Southeast, and we're in central office today, Oklahoma capital area. But it was for a special thing, right?
It is, and it's very near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
So you want to talk about it a little bit?
I mean, if you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
So this is that thing I was wanting you guys to hold out for, something free the department offers.
It is 100% free. And, for the past 25 years, I've been a big part of this, and that's our wildlife youth camp that we put on each and every year, and we have for the past almost 30 years.
That's amazing.
It is amazing. And, that youth camp, we use it as a recruitment tool for future employees, but also to introduce young men and women to the sport of hunting and fishing and the outdoors. You don't necessarily have to be a hunter or a fisherman to be a part of the youth camp by any means, but we do introduce them to several different variations of outdoor related sports, from boating, from shooting a shotgun, archery, rifle. We teach them fish ID. The fisheries biologists do a fantastic job of coming and shocking fish for them, and they spend an entire day with the fisheries biologist learning all the tricks of the trade, from shocking to netting.
And they're actually helping do
hands-on,
this.
100%.
It's hands-on. It's not...
This is a week-long camp. This starts on a Sunday, ends on Friday morning, and so it's 100% free of charge. In order to be a part of the camp, you have to be between the ages of 14 and 16 and write about a 75-word essay on why you wanted to be a part of the camp. Yeah. And then it goes before a extensive review board of several people, and that's what we've been doing today, is going through applications. And there's so many kiddos that want to be a part of this, and I would love to take every one of them. But we only take between 35 and 40 kids. And we try to start with 16-year-olds because they don't have another opportunity. This is their last year. And that's what I tell a lot of my 14 and 15-year-olds that have applied, and then they'll call and be like, "Hey, Drew, I didn't get picked." I'm like, "Well, that's because we try to take all of the 16-year-olds first, because this is their last opportunity. You still have 1 or 2 more years." Yeah. So what I'm saying is, if you apply as a 14 or 15-year-old and you don't get accepted, keep applying, because we take note of how many times you've applied, and that when you're 16, there's probably a really good chance that you'll get in. So
now, I've ran across a couple of coworkers that have worked. They attended as youth in the camp.
Well, I mean, there's 2 game wardens. Emily Long.
Yes.
And then Spencer Grace was another. Spencer
Wow.
was at our very first very first camp, I believe. So anyway, yeah,
There you go.
there's several department employees over the years. And I'd like to sit down and put on pen and paper just how many employees, full-time employees we have that actually attended the camp, because it's a great recruitment tool.
Fantastic.
But what's even cooler is, I mean, doing it for the last 25 years, you have kiddos come up to me. Like, I'll go to the Backwoods show, and bless their hearts, I don't remember a lot of them because they've grown up on me. But they'll come up and be like, "Hey, do you remember me?" And I'm like, "Remind me." "Oh, at the youth camp in 2012." And I'm like, and then they'll
That's amazing.
they'll jog my memory. But yeah, there's so many kiddos that have gone through there that they keep up with this,
And that's worth it. That's worth more
100%.
than gold.
It
Really.
is. And that just that recruitment of kiddos in the outdoors. And there's nothing better for my heart than to have that girl or boy that's never shot a shotgun or never shot a rifle, and they're just a natural. I mean, there are kids out there,
Of course,
who can pick up a shotgun and shoot 8 out of 10. But the great thing about it is they actually listen to our instruction, and we have some of the best instructors and the best employees working there for a solid week to teach them, whether it be in rifle, shotgun, archery, or whatever. And their hearts are in the right place, and they're there for those kids. So I mean, we're giving them all that we've got as far as instruction. We're really trying to help them, and if they listen, then they'll end up doing well.
Yeah.
But I mean that kiddos and elderly are my two weaknesses in life.
Oh, I get it. Yeah.
So particularly kiddos.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on today.
You're welcome. I enjoyed it.
Hopefully, maybe have you on in the near future
Love to
again,
be back.
and you can tell some more stories about what it's like being in Southeast Oklahoma. And tell you what, if you run into Drew and he's not too busy, he might tell you a story on his own. So, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, I got plenty of them for you. And if you ever need a game warden, we're in the hunting and fishing regulations. Just look up your county, and if you can't find one in your county, call us in the adjoining county. So
that's good tip.
yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us, and please subscribe and like.